Welcome to History with Herodotus, where the boundaries of time and space are bridged by the power of storytelling. Today, we embark on a fascinating journey through the tumultuous landscape of modern history as we explore the rise and fall of Imperial Japan. This epic tale of ambition, conquest, and downfall will transport us to the shores of East Asia, where the whispers of ancient traditions collided with the roar of modernity. In the early 19th century, Japan was a land shrouded in mystery, its doors closed to the outside world by the Tokugawa shogunate. This feudal regime, which had ruled Japan since 1603, enforced a policy of isolationism known as sakoku, severing ties with foreign nations and strictly controlling internal affairs. However, the winds of change were gathering on the horizon. The arrival of American Commodore Matthew Perry's Black Ships in 1853 marked the beginning of a new era, as Japan was forcibly opened to international trade and commerce. The Tokugawa regime, faced with the reality of its own obsolescence, struggled to maintain power in the face of growing internal unrest. The emergence of modernizing forces, led by visionaries such as Ito Hirobumi and Yamagata Aritomo, set Japan on a path of rapid transformation. The Meiji Restoration of 1868, which overthrew the Tokugawa shogunate and restored imperial rule, marked a pivotal moment in Japanese history. Emperor Meiji, a mere teenager at the time, was catapulted to the throne, becoming the symbol of a new era. As Japan embarked on its journey of modernization, it drew inspiration from Western models, adopting constitutional monarchy, parliamentary democracy, and industrialization. The country's rapid transformation was nothing short of breathtaking, with Japan evolving from an agrarian society to a major industrial power in a matter of decades. The introduction of compulsory education, the expansion of infrastructure, and the development of a modern military all contributed to Japan's emergence as a significant player on the world stage. The late 19th and early 20th centuries saw Japan's imperial ambitions begin to take shape. The country's stunning victory in the Russo-Japanese War of 1904 to 1905, which caught the attention of the global community, marked a turning point in its ascent. Japan's expansionist policies, driven by a desire for resources, security, and prestige, led to the annexation of Korea in 1910 and the gradual encroachment into China's Manchuria region. The complex interplay of domestic politics, international relations, and economic pressures has created an environment in which Japan's imperial ambitions will soon be unleashed upon the world. The consequences of these actions will reverberate across the globe, drawing in major powers and shaping the course of modern history. As the 1920s unfolded, Japan's imperial ambitions continued to expand, driven by a complex interplay of domestic politics, economic pressures, and strategic calculations. The Washington Naval Conference of 1921 to 1922, which aimed to establish a framework for naval disarmament, marked a significant turning point in Japan's relations with the Western powers. Although Japan agreed to limit its naval capabilities, the conference also recognized Japan's special interests in East Asia, effectively granting it a free hand in China. This diplomatic victory emboldened Japanese leaders, who began to pursue a more aggressive expansionist policy. The Manchurian Incident of September 18, 1931, marked a pivotal moment in Japan's rise to power, when a group of Japanese officers, seeking to create a pretext for invasion, detonated a bomb on a railway line near Mukden, China. They sparked a chain reaction that would draw Japan into a full-scale conflict with China. The subsequent establishment of the puppet state of Manchukuo in 1932, with Puyi, the last emperor of China, as its figurehead, cemented Japan's control over the region. This bold move was justified by Japanese leaders as necessary to protect the country's economic interests and ensure regional stability. The Japanese government's increasing militarization and authoritarianism were accompanied by a growing cult of personality surrounding Emperor Hirohito, who had ascended to the throne in 1926. The emperor's role as a symbol of national unity and legitimacy was carefully cultivated, with elaborate ceremonies and rituals designed to reinforce his divine status. The invasion of China proper began in July 1937 when a skirmish between Japanese and Chinese troops at the Marco Polo Bridge near Beijing escalated into full-scale war. The Japanese military, with its superior training, equipment, and tactics, made rapid gains, capturing key cities such as Shanghai and Nanjing. The atrocities committed by Japanese forces during this period, including the infamous Nanking Massacre of December 1937, would become a dark stain on Japan's reputation, with estimates suggesting that tens of thousands of civilians were slaughtered in a matter of weeks. As Japan's military campaigns expanded, so did its diplomatic isolation. The Tripartite Pact of September 1940, which allied Japan with Nazi Germany and Fascist Italy, marked a significant shift in Japan's foreign policy, as it explicitly aligned itself with the Axis powers. This move was driven by a desire to counterbalance the growing influence of the United States, which had begun to impose economic sanctions on Japan in response to its aggressive expansion. The Japanese government, however, remained undeterred, convinced that its military prowess and strategic alliances would ultimately guarantee its dominance in East Asia. As Japan's diplomatic isolation deepened, its military leaders became increasingly convinced that a surprise attack on the United States was necessary to prevent an eventual war. The assault on Pearl Harbor, launched on December 7, 1941, achieved its immediate objective of crippling the American Pacific Fleet, but it also drew the United States into the conflict with unyielding determination. The subsequent Japanese advances across Southeast Asia and the Pacific were swift and decisive, capturing key territories such as Singapore, Malaysia, and the Philippines. However, the tide of the war began to turn against Japan in 1942, with the Battle of Midway marking a crucial naval defeat that halted its expansionist momentum. The following years saw a grinding and brutal conflict, as Allied forces gradually pushed the Japanese back across the Pacific. The firebombing of Tokyo in March 1945, which killed an estimated 100,000 civilians, and the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945, which together claimed over 200,000 lives, brought home the devastating reality of Japan's situation. On August 15, 1945, Emperor Hirohito announced Japan's unconditional surrender, bringing an end to the Second World War. As one Japanese historian later observed, the war was a catastrophe that revealed the darkest aspects of our national character, and it is a lesson that we must never forget. In the aftermath of the war, Japan was occupied by Allied forces, led by the United States, with General Douglas MacArthur serving as supreme commander. The occupation period saw significant reforms aimed at demilitarizing and democratizing Japanese society, including the establishment of a new constitution, the dismantling of the Zaibatsu conglomerates, and the promotion of human rights and individual freedoms. As MacArthur himself noted, the mission of the occupation is not to destroy Japan, but to rebuild it and to create a new Japan that will be a beacon of hope and democracy in Asia. Today, the rise and fall of Imperial Japan is remembered as a cautionary tale about the dangers of militarism, nationalism, and unchecked ambition. The country's experience serves as a powerful reminder of the devastating consequences of war and the importance of promoting peace, reconciliation, and international cooperation. In Japan itself, the legacy of this period remains complex and contested, with ongoing debates about historical memory, war responsibility, and the role of the emperor. As one Japanese scholar has observed, the history of Imperial Japan is a mirror that reflects both the best and worst aspects of our national character. And it is a reminder that we must always strive to learn from our mistakes and to build a better future. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, remember that to understand the present, we must first understand the past.